Welcome to the second part of 9.4. We're going to get into some more applications of quadratics. So this means some more word problems. First off, let's deal with this one. So I'm dealing with the area of a triangle that is 24 square inches, and the altitude is 2 inches longer than the base. I want you to find the base and the altitude. Now, first and foremost, let me clarify something. I'm using the same terminology the book likes to use. Altitude means height. So some of you may have heard this as base and height. You can change it to that language if that helps you understand it better. But the base, so the things I'm looking for are base and the altitude. So what's a good variable for base? Now, I'm just going to pick B. With that in mind, what's the height or altitude? Well, remember, it's 2 inches longer, so it should be B plus 2. And I'm also told that the area is 24 inches squared. It's another piece of information I'm given. So, but I'm dealing with area of a triangle. This isn't a right triangle, it's just a general triangle. So I don't know if it's right or not. So what is the formula for the area of a triangle? You can Google it and so forth. If this was on the exam, I'd give you that formula. Well, the area is 1/2 base times height. Well, do we have the area? Yeah, it's right here. Do we have the base? Well, the B. Do we have the height? Well, it's B plus 2. If we plug all those in, we now have an equation that has only one variable, B. That's exactly the way we like it in order to solve and find B. If we have B, then finding the height is not a huge step past. So to do this, let's multiply that out. 1/2 B squared times B is 1/2 B squared. But notice 1/2 times 2 turns into 1, so you're just left with B for over here. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video and finish solving this quadratic. Well, if you solved it, probably the first thing you did was move the 24 over, so minus 24. Now, I personally do not like having a half here, so I want to get rid of that 1/2. So I'm going to multiply every single term by 2, because I can multiply both sides by whatever I want. Because 0 times any side is going to be 0. So 0 times 2 is 0. 1/2 times 2 is 1, and this gives me 2b, and this gives me negative 48. Now to solve this, you can use the quadratic formula. You can factor, you can complete the square. Personally, I like factoring. If it factors, it's nice, but not everything factors. In this case, it does factor. And you can set each factor equal to 0 using the zero product rule. So b is equal to -8 or +6, but as we already know, cannot be a negative number. Therefore, b is 6. So what's my height if b is equal to 6? Well, it's 2 more, so it has to be 8. So therefore, my base is 6 inches and my height is 8 inches. So this process is really setting up a quadratic that we're then going to solve. So we now can solve any quadratic that you give me. I can solve it. And but build this up, again, ask the standard questions. What am I looking for? What do I know? And so forth. All right, let's move on to the next example. This one, I'm dealing with Barbara, and she rode, so we're going to say she's riding her bike, 56 miles on Thursday and 4 miles per hour faster. And on Thursday, she rode 4 miles an hour faster, and she rode 54 miles. Wow, I can't read tonight. On these 2 days, she rode for a total of 7 hours. So what are we looking for is the first question. Probably should ask you. I'm looking for a speed for each day. Well, let's just kind of start by making, if Wednesday is her Wednesday speed, let's pick a variable. How about X? So what's your Thursday speed then? Since these are the things I'm looking for. Well, you can say it's X plus 4 because remember she's going 4 miles per hour faster. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's collect the information. And one thing to help, this is again one of those rate distance kind of problems. So I'm going to use a table. And I'm just going to kick those out so I have all these formulas to kind of keep my mind. Distance equals rate times time, time equals distance over rate, rate equals distance over time. Okay, so we have Wednesday. What was our distance on Wednesday? 56. What's our rate? It's x. What's your time? I have total time, but I don't have that specific time. So it's some number, I don't know. But I can use this little detail right here that time is equal to distance over rate. So that's going to be 56 over x. So I'm using this equation, this formula, to actually find the time. Now I want you to go ahead and do the same thing for Thursday. Go ahead and pause the video and fill in some information for Thursday. Well, hopefully you did that. Remember, it's 54 and x plus 4, so 54 over x plus 4. Now remember, these times are not necessarily equal, but the total is 7 hours, which means I have to add them up to 7. Because it wouldn't make sense that she would go faster in the same amount of time and go less distance. So if you're going faster in the same time, you'd have to go more. So if she's going a smaller distance, it has to be less time. So these times are not equivalent. We have to add them. Now, how would you add those equations? Or how would you solve this equation? It should take you back to chapter 7. Remember, we can multiply by the least common denominator. What's the least common denominator? It's x and x plus 4. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video, multiply by the least common denominator, and finish solving this equation. Welcome back. So we multiply both sides first. And if we multiply this to the first term, the x's cancel, so I get x plus 4 times 56. Multiply by the second term, the x plus 4's cancel, and I get 54x. And here's just a bunch of multiplication. Finish multiplying that out, like so. Now, we want to move everything to one side. Because remember, this is a quadratic. This has x squared. Every one of our methods has to make it equal 0. So if we first combine those terms and now start subtracting stuff, I get this. That equals 0. How would you solve that equation then? Well, you have two options. Well, three options. We can factor it. If it's factorable, if it's not factorable, we can't use that one. We can complete the square. That actually always works. Or we could try the quadratic formula. Now, I will tell you something right now. This is not factorable. So I am going to jump into the quadratic formula. So A is 7, B is negative 110, and C equals negative 196. So with those in mind, I can now just punch them into the quadratic formula like so. Now a negative times a negative makes that one a positive. Negative 110 squared is 12,100. And then this is a positive 5488. And 2 times 7 is 14. Okay. Well, combine those terms. And you can factor out a 2. I'm just kind of trying to be quick because I'm running out of space. And this, I can factor 2 out of both these and cancel, so actually it's all equal to 55 plus or minus this. And that cannot be reduced anymore, that nasty square root. So what do? Well, if we jump to the next page, remember we can break this up and approximate it. So if we just deal with the positive version, so it's 55 plus the square root, well, what's that about? Well, I'll grab a calculator. And this square root's about 66.31, which means that's about 121.31 or about 17.33. That's a complete approximation. The only point that I'm looking at here is I want to really know is this positive or negative. In this case, it's positive. That's a good sign. Let's look at the subtraction one. Well, again, that square root is approximately 66.31, which notice would give me a negative. Oh, and that's less than 0. And we can't have negative speed. So we can't have negative speed. Our answer is the positive version. Now, it's possible that both versions will work, but in this case, only the positive version works. So indeed, that is our speed. But we're not done, because remember, we have this +4. We got to figure out, that would only give me Wednesday. I figure out Thursday. So I take it, I added 28 over 7. And now I can combine like terms. They both have the same denominator. So 55 plus 28 is 83. A square root's still hanging out there. And that is my Thursday speed. So my speeds are this one, miles per hour on Wednesday. This one, miles per hour on Thursday. So those are my two speeds as they stand. So this kind of, you got to kind of estimate to kind of help yourself figure out. I hope that helps. Please let me know what questions you have. Good luck.